Absentee ballots would be verified based on driver's license numbers or other documentation instead of voter signatures. Sounds pretty racist to me. Ballot drop boxes would only be allowed inside early voting locations and available strictly during business hours. Weekend voting would be expanded for general elections with 2 mandatory Saturdays offered statewide. Counties could also choose to offer early voting on 2 optional Sundays. Trying to figure out the racist part here. Early voting for runoffs would be reduced to a minimum of 1 week because runoffs would occur 4 weeks after general elections. The deadline to request an absentee ballot would be set 11 days before Election Day. Members of the public would be prohibited from distributing food or water to voters waiting in line. Election workers, of course, would not be prohibited from doing that. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution continues. The state election board could remove county election boards and replace them with interim elections managers. A hotline to report illegal election activities would be set up in the AG's office. Counties would be required to certify election results within 6 days instead of the 10 days currently allowed. Election workers would also be required to count ballots without stopping until they are finished. I'm looking for the racism. Chris Christie, former governor of New York.
And so here he is doing exactly what he accused President Trump of doing back during the campaign, and doing it in a way that is just brutally bad. I mean, even the Washington Post gave him 4 Pinocchios.
He's referring to Joe Biden.
For the statements that he made. The Washington Post guy, you can imagine how it pained them to have to do that to their hero, this Democratic president.
Now, the whole point behind, quote, voter suppression, close quote, of course, is to prevent people of color from voting, right? Those dastardly Republicans, those racist Republicans don't want black people voting. That's what Joe Biden said to Al Sharpton. Republicans don't want black people voting, man. Remember that? Well, study by professors from Stanford, Yale says that, in Pennsylvania, said that when the errors are corrected based upon another study that was published and got widespread reaction claiming that these laws suppress the black vote. Follow-up study, according to researchers at Stanford, Yale, University of Pennsylvania, the original study was based upon surveys of voters that are extremely unreliable, skewing the results. Quote, when the errors are corrected, the follow-up researchers found there's no evidence in the analyzed data that voter laws have a statistically significant impact on voter turnout, end of quote. The data just don't show it. The study examined the methodology and conclusions of the previous study that was widely reported. This one, by the way, was not nearly as widely reported. Pourquoi? Quote, widespread concern that voter identification laws suppress turnout among racial and ethnic minorities have made empirical evaluations of these laws crucial. But problems with administrative records and survey data impede such evaluations. We show that the results of the paper are a product of data of that paper were a product of data inaccuracies and prevent evidence that does not support the stated conclusion. When errors are corrected, say these researchers from Yale, Stanford, and University of Pennsylvania, when errors are corrected, one can recover positive, negative, or null estimates on voter ID turnouts, precluding firm conclusions, end of quote. In other words, in English, the data do not support the notion that these laws are in any way, shape, or form suppressing the black vote. Moreover, riddle me this. If these voter suppression laws are suppressing the black vote, why do 69% of black voters support voter ID laws as opposed to 75% of the general public? And how is it that in 2008 and in 2012, for the first time in American history, the percentage of eligible black voters who voted exceeded the percentage of eligible white voters who voted, despite the alleged voter suppression laws? Can you explain that to me? 888-971-SAGE. Major League Baseball is moving the All-Star game out of Georgia. I'm Larry Elder.